Now what have these Duke boys gotten themselves into this time? And what's with that horn? Dukes of Hazzard was an action comedy series airing from 1979 through 1985 in the original run, and was most known for serialized high-speed jumps and chases in an orange modified 1969 Dodge Charger with a Confederate flag prominently painted on the roof. The car was a character in its own right named the General Lee, short for Robert E. Lee, the leading general of the Confederate States of America during the Civil War. The premise was that the Hazzard boys Bo and Luke Duke would outwit the corrupt county commissioner J.D. Boss Hogg, who often tried to swindle the town one way or another. The J.D. was short for Jefferson Davis, a reference to the President of the Confederacy during war times. As for the car's horn, that plays the first 12 notes of the song Dixieland. The show renewed the general public's awareness and recognition of Dixieland as a prideful rebel tune of the South, while at the same time managing to destroy so many 1969 Dodge Chargers that to this day, they're almost impossible to find. Over 309 Dodge Chargers were totaled in the original production, and countless others in movies and revivals of the show. So what is Dixie anyways? Well, it's essentially slang for the southernmost states of the United States of America, referring to the Mason-Dixon line, an artificial political line that separated the free northern states from the slave states in the South until the Civil War, a war which was fought over this very topic. As for the song, that comes from Daniel Emmett's 1843 composition of Dixie, also known as Dixie's Land. Emmett was a New York City composer and showman of sorts who performed in the first all-blackface minstrel show in which every white performer was in blackface, band included, rather than just a one-off character. Blackface minstrel performances predated Emmett's act by decades, most infamously by Thomas D. Rice, who performed a minstrel song and dance as Jim Crow. Emmett went on to write Dixie for his group, Bryant's Minstrels, and first performed Dixie in 1859 at Mechanics Hall on Broadway in New York City. Damn, and I thought Cats was bad.
Was in Dixie, hooray, hooray, in Dixieland there's a bright dancing band in Dixie, away, away, away down south in Dixie, away, away, away down south.
The original iteration of Dixie was comedic and sing-song, making light of the life and culture of slavery in the South. This type of horrific depiction of African Americans through blackface became even more popular as other minstrel groups performed different variations of the tune. When Emmett was asked about the song's creation, he had a different story every time. Sometimes he said it came to him in the middle of the night, his wife hummed a gospel song and he grabbed a pen and started writing, or he had a flash of genius. I think he may have been a little too proud of himself. Anyhow, due to the instant notoriety in Southern commentary, it was only a matter of time until audiences in the South heard the tune. Emmett filed for copyright of the song in 1860, but it was too late. Dixieland had taken on a life of its own. When looking into how minstrel shows were advertised at the time, it made me realize how much these posters and flyers look like W.B. Mason paper. What's with that? Anyhow, the Confederate States of America formed on February 8, 1861 with South Carolina, Mississippi, Florida, Alabama, Georgia, Louisiana, and Texas seceding from the Union with their own constitution. Later, an additional 6 states would join the Confederacy with a total of 13 states. These southern states had an agricultural economy fueled by African slave labor, which was becoming unfavorable in the North and creating the tension to break away. Swiftly, on February 18, 1861, in Montgomery, Alabama, Jefferson Davis, a former senator and Secretary of War who fought for expanding slavery, was sworn into office as the President of the Confederate States of America. During Davis's inauguration, Dixieland was played and cemented itself as the unofficial anthem of the South. It was the largest attended inauguration to this day. Davis never directly acknowledged what he thought of Dixieland, but I believe himself and the Confederates heard lyrics like, "In Dixieland I'll take my stand to live and die in Dixie," and found it a patriotic anthem to fight for their country and fellow countrymen. On the Union side of the war, Dixie was rewritten by Francis J. Crosby as Union Dixie, which kept the melody of the original song but changed the lyrics to mock the South, and patriotically destined victory for the northern states.
Oh, way down south in the land of traitors, rattlesnakes and alligators. Right away, come away, right away, come away. Where cotton's king and men are chattels, Union boys will win the battles. Right away, come away, right away, come away. We'll all go down to Dixie.
After the South lost the Civil War, Dixie fell out of favor as a patriotic song. To some, it was trapped in a moment in time, and yet to others, it was still a prideful symbol of the South. In the 1950s and 1960s, protests were erected towards multiple Southern universities who continued to use Dixie as a marching band standard, and by 1968, the University of Miami banned performances of Dixieland, and other institutions followed. Today, Dixie, the term and song, are considered to be associated with neo-Confederates, white supremacists, and Dolly Parton. Yeah, she had a dinner show called Dixie Stampede reenacting the Civil War in poor taste. Come on, Dolly. One thing that always comes to mind when I hear the term Dixie is Dixieland jazz. This is a style of traditional jazz with origins in the New Orleans music scene in the early 1900s. Ironically, this comes from the naming of the 1917 original Dixieland Jazz Band, and not really from the naming of the genre of music. This all-white band played a combination of African-American New Orleans jazz and ragtime with an upbeat sound. However, as time went on, jazz revivalists such as Louis Armstrong and King Oliver got the Dixieland label even though they would never define their music as that. In fact, calling jazz Dixieland is somewhat of an insult to black jazz greats, as one prominent jazz critic, Rex Harris, put it. Dixieland is jazz played in a quasi-New Orleans manner by white musicians. I would call that amateur hour with a touch of racism. Dixie has impacted so many facets of American culture in both the North and the South. Whether you know it as a war cry, Broadway musical act, jazz handle, or even the most iconic car horn on TV, it's all the same. It's a response to human bondage, and a dark history we need to acknowledge but not celebrate. However, the South holds the lion's share of this legacy for its part in the matter. I think we need to start a new legacy. Instead of calling the South the Big D, we should recalibrate to what actually makes it great. The land of Coca-Cola, peaches, and peanuts. Where generation after generation, some of the best music in the country has been conceived in New Orleans, Memphis, and Nashville. And sometimes we just need to appreciate the little things that have made the South a home to so many. It's time for the South to sing a different tune, and give some soul this time.
Who goes from town to town? All in this world goes around.